Hello, everyone. Welcome to From Dial Square to Where with ArseBros. How are you all?
Good, thanks, buddy. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. And Scunny Mike, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad.
It's the first time I've spoke to these lot many a times, but I hadn't even seen him before, so it's nice to see Keanu Reeves and. I'm trying to think of a name for Max there, but nah.
I know. And Manny,
like Ryan there down there as well. Nice to see you.
I'm gonna say Edward Norton with AIDS. That's what I would say.
Edward Norton with AIDS. Fuck you.
You look perfect. He's never
you look like fucking. You look like John Belushi, you prick.
Just a little bit less dead.
Animal House, right?
Yeah.
Manny, you're too cool for school. You don't want to be seen, obviously. So we just got your audio. How you doing, mate?
I'm all good, man. I'm playing Call of Duty right now, bro. I got it on mute though. But I'm good.
Well,
I'm good, man.
That's I'm really honoured that you've got it on mute. So
you know, Andrew, this just leads further into the idea that Manny doesn't actually exist and he's just a figment of my imagination. And you've broken this now. You've broken it because I'm on camera and people don't believe it's just me putting on a 14-stone black man's accent anymore.
Well, you're very good ventriloquist.
You pre-recorded Manny's lines. We all know. Come on. We don't see Manny's face.
No, you don't, man.
Well, thank you to everyone watching. Thank you to everyone that's going to be listening to the audio at a later date. We normally do Twitter questions. Twitter sort of go through a lot of the stuff that we find on Twitter for the week on this show. But with everything that's gone on the last few days, I thought we'd just have a chat about that tonight, really. So if anyone watching, if you want to put any questions in the box, we'll go through those a bit later. I know that I've got a couple of questions that have been left on Twitter, so we'll go through those. But first and foremost, if we go through what everyone's thoughts were initially on Friday, before the game, before it was announced that Freddie Llungberg was going to be taking over. Let's just do your initial reaction when Emery was sacked. What about you first, Scunny?
Yay.
Oh, is that it?
No.
I was well more excited than that.
I can't really scream because I've got a child in bed, so that's as much as you're going to get out of me at the minute. Well, yeah, it's I was dead excited. I was thinking about time.
It was amazing, wasn't it? What about you, Max?
Mate, it was kind of like coming to the end of a relationship where the sex was still, you could remember what it was like when it was good, but you just hadn't had it for so long. And when Emery left, I thought in my head, that's it, new pussy. That's all I'm about right now. Just something different, please. Give me just something different, Freddie. That's all I wanted.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was well excited. What about you, Toby?
Relief. We've been waiting so long for that, so it was a bit of a pleasure, and then a little bit of fear as well, because we're like, fuck. Now we got what we wanted, even though it was a bit late. Now we're actually going to have to look at what this team is actually like and how bad it may be.
Yeah, that's very true. In fact, it was like, when you say relief, it was almost like getting over a water infection or something like that, wasn't it, really? And just being able to piss normally again.
Yeah.
It was like that.
It'd have been pretty restricted for a while, hadn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The flow.
Exactly. It's very painful. It's like burning.
Right. Kidney stones.
Manny, what about you? What was your initial reaction?
I got butt naked and did a celebratory booty dance, bro.
Were you marinating?
Yeah, man.
Well, you should have had that on camera, buddy.
Were you twerking?
What makes you think I don't have it on camera?
Well, you seem to be quite shy, looking at tonight.
Well, no, there's a special message that got like a special message in the post, I guess. None of you fuckers are allowed to see it, but trust me, it did happen. I was happy as hell, man. I was happy as hell. The greasy Dracula was out the fucking door, man. Trust me, I'm happy about that.
What did you do? Shit through a letterbox?
No, there's a better one. Don't shit through people's letterboxes. Shit in if you want to fuck with someone. You know the where the windscreen wipers go into the bay and hide on most cars now, how they don't sit out. There's a little bay. You shit inside that and then you leave it.
Wait.
And then the next time it rains, because I've done it, man. And then the next time it rains, they sit there and they hit their windscreen wipers and bang. Shit.
Oh my god!
You've really thought a lot into this.
Does it rain a lot in Australia?
No, it could be days. And you're like, I can smell shit. And then it finally rains. You're like, oh, fine. You hit them and shit.
You know what's even better? If you've got runny shit, if you've got proper diarrhea, you do it into the water well that actually shoots the jets onto the screen, and that'd be even better.
Just
that would be better.
Shit. Yep.
You lot are degenerates, man. I swear to God. Little fucking degenerates, bro. Now, you know what? I get the fact that I can see Toby's face. Now I understand, all right? Now I understand every single time Max says some stupid shit. That's the face you pull. I feel your pain, bro. I feel your pain, man.
You can see my pain on camera.
Oh, man.
Ryan,
you see the moment my heart breaks or splits.
Ryan, let's go to you. What were your thoughts, mate?
It's funny. I would say the same as Scunny. Yay! I mean, it's been a long time coming. Weeks and months. So I'm excited, but it's like the excitement's kind of pulled out of me because it's been so long and I've been wanting to be on for so long. And now that it's here, it's like, okay. Like now, like we got to get our hands dirty and get to work. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I guess it was more like you said just now, more relief probably when you think about it. It's actually been done, and I really had it in my head at one point that they were going to drag it out to the end of the season, and that was making me feel sick, proper sick.
Yeah.
You know, I literally had to hold it back. I thought I was going to throw up at any second at the thought of it, and watching all this turgid shite football for one moment longer. But then. Obviously, it was apparent that we had Freddie Llungberg and the BFG as his assistant. And I don't know what I was expecting, really. I mean, I think I was more hopeful of, like, getting that bounce, but probably realistically thinking that we might get a bit of an improvement. But then, obviously, the match came round. Well, let's go back around the other way this time. Ryan, we can go. Just talk about the match. What your thoughts were after the match against Norwich away.
Well, people say it was a tale of two halves. The way I saw it was just the first 5 minutes we were phenomenal. I wouldn't say phenomenal. I caught myself saying we got our Arsenal back, but it died off quickly. And the last 20, 25 minutes were just, We, once we conceded, it was just kind of all hell broke loose. And I kind of feel like that in a way mirrored in the second half. And on top of that, I just think we kind of saw real flaws in a lot of our players, cough, defense and midfield. But I don't know. I'm not as disappointed as a lot of people are. I think people were like, I saw on various social medias 3-0s, 5-0s, and I didn't understand it. I'm not saying I expect us to lose. Don't get me wrong, but it's a work in progress. It's going to be slow. It's going to take a while, and I think I don't know if it was just this fan base in particular, but it's going to take a while, and people need to have patience, which we don't have. This fan base has zero patience, and pretty awful.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I mean, the fact that Freddie out was trending on Twitter, people don't realise that there are actually other fans of other clubs that actually use Twitter as well, and they could be sort of slightly skewed. But apparently, that was a lot down to some American football coach as well that people want out. Anyway, I don't know.
Now, there's people on multiple Arsenal fan forums that were saying Freddie out, and from what I could tell, they were very serious. But
it's just ridiculous. I think they're just doing it to take the piss, really. Manny, what about you? What did you think overall of the performance against Norwich?
thought the first half an hour, I could see, some form of improvement, moving the ball quicker, pressing, actually putting pressure on Norwich, which we haven't done in many matches. We don't put teams under pressure for long periods. But the first half an hour created chances. Lacazette should have scored. Mustafi had a chance. Chambers had a chance. So I was encouraged until I realized how bad we are in transition, and that, any team with any semblance of pace can beat us on the counter, be it Norwich, be it Watford, be it, a League Two side. If you got pace, you can get in behind us. So I was disappointed to see the same similar flaws and the same shit players backed. The lineup didn't make too much sense, even though I understood some parts of it. Whoever's saying Freddie out, go fuck yourselves. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, man.
Yeah, pretty much same. What about you, Tobes?
Look, there were points where we looked better, more cohesive. You could see that Freddie put some more passing players, people a little bit more natural on the ball, and tried to load the team up that way. But we are so spineless at the moment in terms of our confidence and self-belief. And then also, for me, the biggest problem is the physical attributes of the players as well, the lack of sprint speed, and particularly in midfield, that it's sliced through like a fucking souffle. It's like, welcome to our defensive line. Why don't you have a crack? So my biggest bugbear is the spacing in the centre, and the fact that the defenders don't step up as a unit and close down that space, all of the backing off. So, look, I thought some of the lineup was good. I still think we lack an overall 11 that works cohesively, i.e., proper wingers playing on the wing and people playing in their natural positions. So, yeah, look, overall, some positives, some extra fluidity, but the same core issues with the same group of players. So let's give Freddie a little bit of time to actually manage those players and change those starting positions in particular, and see if we can improve that way. So bit of a 50-50. Positive aspects of each half, but then the same old Arsenal, unfortunately.
And that's nail on the head, Toby. That's nail on the head. The concept of us not being able to find any fluidity, or us not being able to find a team that actually makes sense, that's not going away. That's a systemic issue. Excuse me. That's a systemic issue from the board. That's a systemic issue from the way that we've gone about our purchasing. I said on our podcast on the ArseBros last night, I don't see a way you can put together a cohesive midfield out of the pieces that we've got. Every midfield 3 that I put together, there's an issue. Every midfield 2 that I put together, there's an issue. We all wanted Xtra out the team. I mean, all of us wanted Xtra out the team. All of us were saying he's a fucking liability. And Xtra came out of the team. Yeah, but Xtra came out of the team and we weren't any better for it. Now you can sit there and say coaching and Emery playing Torreira in the wrong spot, this, that. You put a midfield 3 of Torreira, Guendouzi and Ceballos, you've got problems. You give me a midfield 3 of Xhaka, Willock and Guendouzi, you've got problems. And that goes back to the whole recruitment element of the Arsenal. And we saw that. We saw that because we came out in the first 20 minutes. And I've done a rewatch of the last 20 minutes. We were good. We were good. These people online saying there was no reaction, there was no change, there was no new manager bounce. Well, there was. The problem is that we've lost so much emotional durability throughout this period of time, our understanding of what we are and who we are as a club, our ability to go to a football game and walk into especially an away opponent's dressing room and believe that we're going to beat them and beat them mentally before we've even walked out on the pitch, that is gone. And our durability, our ability to actually be able to, our ability to be able to go behind and our ability to be able to be put on the back foot and bounce back, it's not great. Yes, we did get goals back straight away, but straight away we're rocked and you can see it. And it came out in Leno's, I thought Leno's post-match interview was the one that was the most telling, where he said, Freddie was upset with us because we had deviated from the game plan. Not in exact words, but essentially he said that we had deviated from the game plan. The playing group had deviated from the game plan. I walked out of that game, I turned it off 2-2, and I went, cool. 24 hours, 72 hours, one training session, saw a little bit. But my question is, considering the board has already immediately released a handful of names, immediately released a group of names, and made it clear that Freddie may only be in charge for 2, 3, 4, 5 games or until they can get the next manager in. How's he even meant to have an emotional connection with the players? How's he meant to get a bigger new manager bounce than just not being Emery? For me, it's a snake pit, and I hope the Arsenal fans are ready to ride this out to the end of the season, because there's no magic wand, guys.
It's going to be longer than the end of the season.
I know. Well, Scully, what's your thoughts?
I can't really disagree much with what everyone else has said. What the?
Oh,
I had to get that on camera, didn't you?
He has a heart, ladies and gentlemen. He has a heart.
Just a little bit sick in my mouth.
She's used to be doing podcasts, not live things. I'll tell her she's on live webcam later on.
Yeah, like I say, as I was saying, I can't disagree much with all the rest of the lads. For the first 20 minutes, we were really good, and then he just went back to, similar to what Toby said, the same old Arsenal. The frailties started to come up, the gaps between the midfield and defence. It was okay going forward. I won't say it was much better than just being okay. And to answer sort of Max's question that he just said a minute ago about the releasing the name, releasing a list of names and stuff from the board, I think it's undermining. I think I mentioned it on a different podcast that I did. It's undermining someone. I think you're not giving him the chance to even put his foot down or do anything with the squad before he's even started. So, but I think that's the worst position we've got to be. We're in now. We're a month away from the January transfer window. Are we going to get someone in before that? So we're hanging on if we're going to get anyone new in before the transfer window. So it's a hard position for Freddie to be in.
Well, I don't know whether it's undermining him or anything, because he's clearly on the list of potential managers, and he's in pole position, if anything, because he's actually in the job, and he's doing a dress rehearsal, isn't he? So
you got to ask yourself the question as well. Sorry, mate. You got to ask yourself the question: is he only on the list because he's actually there now? Would he even be on the list if he wasn't there?
I think so, because they think of him really highly. They don't want to lose the guy, and
he does have first team experience. I mean, U23 is still first team experience, so.
Yeah,
but you also got to ask the question as well: who's to say that the next manager that comes in is going to want to bring his own team in, and will Freddie be still in their job?
Well, I think that they really want to keep hold of him, and that's the problem with Allegri. It's been widely said that he wanted to bring a team of 9 staff with him. 9.
No.
Normally,
400.
it's about 3 or 4.
I reckon it would be. Not to mention, he requires like 400 million worth of investment. Like a manager of that ilk is going to come in and is going to say, tear it up. And we were talking about it last. There may be less than 50% of that squad still there in a season and a season and a half. Like, you start breaking it down, like Leno, Tierney. As backup, probably Holding, Chambers. You can see the entirety of the midfield turning over, except for Guendouzi, maybe Willock. And all these guys are guys who should be being fed into the 11 through cups, in fed substitute performances. We were talking about Guendouzi when you were on our show the other week, Andrew. The boy never should have been anywhere near the team. The boys should still be getting fed in now, but somehow we gave him the team. You can see Aubameyang not being there. You can see Lacazette not being there. You can see both those guys not signing contracts. And as we know at Arsenal, we're not going to let people run down anymore and go on Bosmans. So basically a top-level coach is maybe going to have to come in and turn the entire team over anyway. So I really fear for this idea of us bringing in someone younger or bringing in someone like Freddie, someone who doesn't have the backroom staff. And I'm looking at it now and I'm like, cool, club's fucked. Rafa Benitez, even not really hot, but Carlo Ancelotti. At least these guys speak English, have some charisma, understand the Premiership. I'm off Allegri for reasons that we spoke about, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd be comfortable if we ended up with an Arteta or a Freddie Llungberg, even if the personalities and the Arsenal DNA is there. I think we might be fucked, and we might actually need to go and bring someone in who knows how to work.
And you got to manage upwards as well, because these young guys and this board doesn't know its ass from its fucking elbow, so it needs to be able to manipulate and manage upwards as well as managing down onto the pitch. So it's a big job, and it requires a big personality. And maybe with that the prerequisite will be quite a bit of experience rather than a Hail Mary management signing.
I can't get my head past Brendan Rodgers for everything you've just said. He's got the ego. He's got that kind of experience of bringing on existing groups of players without sort of having to spend masses of money as well. I mean, what he's done with the Leicester squad is very impressive, because we've had a question on Twitter, which I might as well ask now because it's very relevant. It says, where are we? It's from Melvin Marks, who is a really good guy. He says, as a club, how far are we behind Leicester? And I've said this before. If going back to before Rodgers was appointed, which is only February. So if you think, a year ago, that squad was looking like a pile of dog shit. They were playing poor football under Puel. I think that's how you pronounce it. Claude Puel. They looked awful.
Puel.
Yeah. So no one could say at that point that was an incredible team. But Rodgers has transformed that same group of players, and he's just got them extremely well organised. And I know we're going to have to pay about anything between 12 and 14 million to get him, but
which we won't get.
That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's not about release clauses. It's not about none of that, right? The fact is, Arsenal are a bunch of cheapskates, right? They are going to run a mile. They are going to run a mile. No. Arsenal are a bunch of cheapskates. They're going to run a mile when they see Brendan Rodgers' release clause, right? Arsenal are the type of club that will buy Tesco value stuff simply because they don't want to buy Fairy Liquid. All right, that this is the problem. We can talk about all of these managers that make sense, right? We can talk about the Allegris, you can talk about the Rodgers, and you can talk about all of these guys, but we don't appoint managers that make sense. Okay, we don't. Bruce Rioch, Wenger, Emery, all left field appointments. So all of these managers that make sense, stop thinking about them. It's going to be somebody random. It's going to be somebody cheap. It's going to be somebody that they can manipulate. It's going to be somebody that Raul can have in his pocket. All right, that's genuinely what I believe. So forget the Rodgers. Forget spending 14 million on managers. It's not going to happen. It's not what we do. Right? It's not what we do. So get ready for a left field appointment, boys. Trust me, I am.
I wonder if it will come down to maybe us finishing outside of the top six. I mean to put a rocket up them and say this isn't working. I almost wonder whether or not a full-blown diabolical, like that horrid Chelsea season or a horrid Man U season, that they both had, where they went out of existence essentially as far as Europe goes.
Max, this is what I suggested yesterday or the other day, and you said we might not recover from this.
Yep.
But truth be told, this is what we need. Because the Cronkies and everybody that's involved with Arsenal are sitting comfortably because we're still in Europe. So we're still getting money through the door. The only way, the truthful way that you're going to see whether the Cronkies are all about, what they say, is if we finish outside the top 8 and we're not in Europe at all. Me personally, I would love that. Because we need to rebuild, and we need some genuine time to rebuild. This squad doesn't make sense. This club doesn't make sense. So the rocket fuel that they need is no Europe.
I agree.
No Europe whatsoever. Yeah.
Like in America, it's in like all of the main sports in America. teams have this rebuilding phase, and they will suck dick. They will be last, like year after year, getting top draft picks, doing all these things, and it can be agonizing for fans, but they know, like, okay, our team is rebuilding. They go through maybe a couple coaches. They're getting in these fresh young talent. I know it's very different in America, but it's something that I'm like used to. I'm like accommodating to. Like, I'm used to teams like rebuilding for a few years. So I don't know how you guys feel, because it's a little different. It's a little different over there, but we need that. We need to suck. We need to be the we need to be prepared to just be really bad for a few years. And I don't think our fan base is ready for it. I have nothing against Arsenal Fan TV, but something that's a big talking point, and people kind of like call them out. And I think some unrightfully so, because Manny's hot topic about I think you guys talked about how I think maybe Max even brought it up, how we're all Arsenal Fan TV, but we don't want to admit it. I agree, 100% agree, and I think that it's tough times, and people need to just have patience, which I know we don't have. So it's kind of like this.
Because we're such a patient fan base.
Yeah,
there's no patience. There's no patience, man. I'll tell you this: Freddie out was trending. One person tweeted that he wanted Freddie gone before kickoff. His reason being is because he didn't start Martinelli. Now, tell me how any logical football fan will come to that conclusion that an inexperienced 18-year-old should be starting away from home in the Premier League. I understand the sentiment, but this is the type of people that we have in this fan base. Knee-jerk reactions, and everybody's crazy within this fan base. So patience is not what we do. God,
you'll talk morons. You be nice. We have idiot fans that don't know what they're talking about. They like us because we have a cannon as a logo. Maybe they like the color red. I have my friend who's a big hockey fan, and when he was a kid, he became a New Jersey Devils fan because they were red, and it was a devil, and he liked it, and it was cool. He's also an Arsenal fan. Shout out to you, John. But nonetheless, we have fans that are like that. We have fans that they baffle me.
I think we have to be careful not understanding the context of what sorts of fans that we're seeing on Twitter. I think that we have to understand that Arsenal is a global network. Not everyone is dialed into the club. Not everyone is as diehard as, say, what 6 fuckwits on a podcast at dick o'clock in the morning in Australia and all across the world are doing, getting together, having a chat about the football club. And I think it's important that sometimes we don't take the lowest common denominator, which is this crap, this Freddie out tweet and stuff like that. We don't take the lowest common denominator as an indicator of the greater part of the fan base. I'd like to sit here and think that as Arsenal fans, anyone with a brain in their head at the end of that first game, at the end of Freddie's game, went, yep, okay, cool, moving on. Moving on. Let's see what happens next.
You shouldn't really do anything else but think that, really, to be fair.
I'm concerned about the international fan base, as we've been talking about. That's just going to disappear year after year as well. This is the problem. Who's going to want to support Arsenal at the moment?
I mean, I don't really care, because to me, most of the international fans are a big part of the problem. I don't think they're well versed. And do I blame them? Not necessarily. They don't really. It's hard to be dialed in when you're in different countries, but most of them are the idiots. Let's be real here.
But it does matter. It does matter, though, doesn't it? It brings in a long
from a money standpoint. Yeah, from a money standpoint, you're right.
That's going to put us further and further behind. But there you go. This is what the problem is at the moment. Because I think that a lot of the kids that are growing up now who are choosing, it's just at that age to choose a football club, who are they going to support? They're not going to support Arsenal.
I said this. I said this the other week. I said the most dangerous thing for Arsenal is that all of us age between, 30 and 60 who are Arsenal fans, we all have memories of incredible players and incredible times and FA Cup wins and Henrys and Invincibles and Bergkamps and all this stuff. What are the people who have been watching Arsenal, like your kids, Andrew? What are they gonna grow up with their understanding of Arsenal being scunny? What are your kids going to grow up with their understanding of Arsenal being? That Arsenal are a fucking mediocre team with mediocre managers and mediocre players who win nothing.
They're already thinking that.
Mate, I've got a 10-year-old who keeps going on about Liverpool. That's how bad it is at my house.
It's like, just beat him. Just start beating him
Well, no, you could just put
vigorously.
him.
I'd love to. I really would love to, but you look at it and you look at the hindsight and you just think, do you know what? I can't. I
Just put him
can't
in
beat him.
It's much easier.
Yeah.
I can't beat him because if I was 10 years old right now,
Mate,
if
I was beaten
10
and I
years old
turned
right
out
now-
fine.
you were shitting on cars earlier.
I was, yeah.
Well, I don't know about you.
He
lot,
shits
but
anywhere. We
he-
know this already.
He shits anywhere, that's one. But to you parents and uncles and aunts and anybody who follows Arsenal Football Club, if you do your job properly, just like me and my brothers did with my nephew, they have got no choice. We took my nephew to the Emirates Cup as early as he can remember it, because we wanted to make sure that you're not supporting anybody else, because no other team is allowed through these doors. No other team. It's Arsenal, or I'm going to beat you up. It's that simple. He's got no choice, mate. No choice.
Take your kid round to Uncle Manny's house, Scunny, and let Manny sort him out.
Oh, mate, I fear for his life.
I'm nice, I promise.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
my three boys didn't have any choice anyway. So yeah,
Damn right, Andrew. Damn
Just
right,
like-
bro.
I'll just take my belt off, and just wrap it around my hand a couple of times, and just if they ever step out of line, you know what they're going to get.
In all fairness, he knows how to wind me up. He's only 10, but he knows how to get me. He knows how to pull the strings and so whatever. He really knows how to wind me up with a football already. He's only 10. But nothing that something like that would sort out. But it's just how it is. It's kids being kids.
We've had another question as well, just going back to what you said, Ryan, about AFTV. And it was the Gunners Pub on Twitter said, should AFTV be removed from the concourse outside the ground? Now, I've got nothing against them. I've got nothing against AFTV, but I think we discussed this on your podcast, actually. Did we, Max? I can't remember. But this is an issue with regards to the fan base and everyone being tarnished with the same brush. And I think an awful lot of other fans watch AFTV, and I know that they do. And it just gives us everyone thinks that we're all like that, basically. And I know that a lot of us are, but at the same point, a lot of us aren't, and we are a bit more, intelligent about stuff. So, I mean, what's your thoughts overall? I mean, I don't think they're doing any harm, basically. Personally, what are you guys? Whoever wants to go first, what are your thoughts on it all?
They're
Depends
fans.
Depends what interview you're watching. Like someone like Graham, I think he's so
Graham's
intelligent.
great.
He's the one.
Lee's good. Mo's good.
He's the one person I listen to all the time. I make sure I listen to him. Like tactically, he breaks it down formationally. He breaks it down. Love it. It just depends who you listen to. And like, I don't listen to it anymore. But unpopular opinion, I actually was, I won't say big fan, but I agree with a lot of what DT said. I think the way he went about it maybe wasn't the right way. The way he engaged fans or trolls on Twitter, I don't agree with. But I think when he tries to talk sense and he doesn't like scream and shout and curse, I think he makes good points too. I mean, it just depends, what you want to listen to, because there's also like the one or two videos, that you see where, like you were saying, Manny, like I'm sure there's a video that says, "Oh, Freddie out, Martinelli didn't start." You have those, but it's a blip on the radar.
Boys, you know what the problem is, and people forget, right, that the majority of these AFTV lot, they're actual fans who go to games. Now, I'm not making an excuse for them at all, because I think the majority of the things that come out from them is ridiculous, but they are fans who go everywhere and follow this club, right? Now, people say that they've tarnished, the look of Arsenal, and my answer to that is, you're telling me that what goes on the pitch is any worse than what goes on with AFTV? By my understanding, what goes on the pitch has brought more disrepute to Arsenal Football Club than AFTV. If you don't like AFTV, trust me, you don't have to watch it. You can block it. You don't have to follow anything. You don't have to follow anything that they're doing, right? The attention that is being put on AFTV is a deflection from what the shit that is going on at the club. They're looking for somebody to blame. And Go ahead, you can blame them if you want to, but Arsenal Football Club are not going to get any great. If Arsenal were great, nobody would care about AOTV existing. But it's the fact that we are terrible right now. The spotlight is being placed on them, and it's not about them. Forget them. The problems that we have with Arsenal Football Club starts at the very top, not AFTV. Forget all of that nonsense.
Like Fergus, who's put some, from the Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast. Hi, Fergus. Thanks for watching. He's put, that Robbie does a lot of good stuff. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And basically, it's a free world. And you've got guys
like all of our content, Andrew. All of our content. ArseBros, Dial Square, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, Same Old Arsenal podcast, all of us, right? If you don't like our content, don't listen to our content. All of us are essentially attracting a different fan base or a different element of the fan base, or people who are looking for a certain thing. People listen to ArseBros, listen to four degenerates get drunk and talk shit to each other with a tiny bit of football content in it. I tell you what, people's issue with AFTV is it's starting to hit a little bit too close to home for them. It's a little bit like looking in the mirror, and I think some people don't want to admit that that's where a really, really large section of our fan base lives, in toxicity and in anger. And you know what, mate? They may be one of the best things. Like, you can look at it in two ways. They may be one of the best things to happen to being a supporter, because in a lot of ways, AFTV, I mean, Andrew Mangan being the main carrier for I guess the podcasting content, but AFTV really, really stood up and said, hey, regular people who go to football games and have regular opinions can have as much of an impact or more of an impact than fuckwit pundits who don't know anything they're talking about, like dumb prick Paul Scholes shooting his mouth off the other week,
which
God, what nearly fucking killed me.
I almost wore
wanker cockhead Tim fucking Sherwood. Why the fuck is Tim Sherwood ever on anything talking about Arsenal? He's such a fuckwit.
I know.
Where do they drag these people up from? I tell you what, if you gave me the option of switching on and having, like, God help us, but having like DT sat on a fucking couch talking about Arsenal, Lord, or having Tim Sherwood sat on the couch talking about Arsenal, fuck it, I'd probably listen to DT. Maybe he's a cockhead, maybe he's not. He's just a passionate fan.
Well, how about this? If the players on the pitch were actually doing the business and winning every week, you wouldn't get all the ranting on AFTV, would you? Just saying.
Well, that's the thing. It's the controversial stuff that gets shared the most. It's things that, when you're shouting off and doing what you're doing on AFTV, that's the one that gets shared the most. That's the one that gets listened to the most. And the real good stuff that really is on there doesn't really get, it gets missed. Like with what Ryan was saying with Graham and sometimes Lee. I think Lee's getting a bit more noticeable on it now. And there's, there is other people on there as well that gets missed. So
Gunny,
it's just one of them things.
Gunny, there's a reason for that, mate. Negativity sells. That's what people want to see, man. The things that get shared, is a reflection of society right now, mate. People want to share negativity. Anything that's positive, people like you say, people like the Grahams, people like Lee. There's some other people sometimes that go in there, they talk a lot of sense. They fade into the background because people want to see the crazy ones. They want to see the negativity. That's people thrive on that.
People love seeing
it. It's strange.
I love it.
It's funny you should say that, though, Manny. Funny you should say that, Manny, because Fergus said I blame Manny.
Fergus.
When in doubt, blame Manny.
I got a message for Fergus, man. Fergus, go fuck yourself, bro.
Mind you, Fergus has also put the Scum are losing 2-1 at the moment.
Yeah, Rashford penalty, I think.
Fantastic.
If you see me look at it now, I'd set my phone for the scores because I'm just.
You've also got to remember as well, like Ray Parlour went on TalkSport and dissed AFTV, but I think he forgot that he was actually on AFTV at one point. So
he did an interview on there. I mean, come on,
exactly.
Come on, mate. Come on. Don't criticize them when you were on an interview with them 9 months ago. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So clearly you were happy enough with them to appear on that platform. And now you're criticizing them. It makes Ray Parlour look like a hypocrite. And I love Ray Parlour.
Either that or he was pissed. Because he's always pissed.
Dude,
He drinks, you know what? He's in good shape for somebody who drinks a lot, bro.
I've seen videos of him on train just wasted. Love it.
Well, Fergus said, Manny, should I use lube?
No,
If
no.
Manny's
Manny-
involved,
Manny's
yeah.
marinating. You don't need no lube. He's marinating. He's covered
Nah, man,
lotion head to tippy toe.
I've just told him that he should get some of the organic stuff. That'd probably be
No, man. Fergus is loose, bro. He doesn't need any lube.
Whack it in dry.
Yeah, no.
You know from experience, Manny. He's loose.
Let's move off this anyway. Anyway, what do you think about tomorrow? He's had a couple of days more now, Freddie, to look at the team and the squad, and let's go around just quickly. What do you think that the changes he should make for tomorrow? I just think that he really needs to just tell the players, literally just go. Obviously, it's an old cliche, but in our case, it could not be more true. Attack is our best form of defence because we ain't got a defence. So we need to keep the ball away from our goal as far as possible and just utilise our strengths. Simple as for me. So what do you, let's go to you first, Mike, this time, Scully. What do you think about the lineup for tomorrow should be?
I honestly don't think there's going to be much difference to what we saw against Norwich. I really don't. I think he's going to try and solidify it as much as he can. Maybe just keep to the 4-3-3 formation. Maybe include Pepe in there instead of having Ozil. I don't know. I just don't see there's much difference. I don't think it's going to revert back to the 5 at the back from what the last manager did. I think he's going to stick with the 4 at the back. I think with the 4 at the back, I think you're going to have bring Tierney in instead of Klasniak. I don't think he had a bad game against Norwich, but I just think Tierney is a better player overall. I really struggle with who we're going to put as centre back because no matter who you put in there, it's going to be weak.
What do you think about Mustafi?
Fuck Mustafi.
Whatever, we just need to have. We desperately need just continuity in our defence, and I just think we've got to bite the bullet for the rest of the season and just have Chambers and Holding, and just let them create.
I don't understand where
partnership.
this Arsenal erection for Holding has come from.
No,
Like he had a handful of
no.
games last season. He got crocked. He's come back and still not looked good.
I'm certainly not obsessed by him, but I just think that we can't play. I mean, Socrates, you know what I think about Socrates. He should just go and bury his head. But, you know, Mustafi, no. I think Freddie played Mustafi because he's a better passer of the ball and a bit
100%. Yeah.
Louise, no. In fact, I think our best formation probably for the time being will be 4-2-3-1. And perhaps if you're going to play Louise, play him in the 2 in front of the defence.
You know, I didn't hate him. His performance before he went off with that little rib injury, where he was in the midfield in Emery's last game in charge. I actually thought Louise had been really good. He ran around, he broke it up. His passing was good. You know, in a midfield that makes no sense. In a world where it's impossible for us to put together a midfield that makes sense, and we kind of want to play a back 3 because our centre backs make more sense in back 3s. Holding's success was in a back 3. Chambers has said that his preferred position is on the right of a back 3. Louise is protected in a back 3. So let's not play a back 3. Let's play a back 2 and maybe stick David Luiz in front in that defensive midfield position and let him drop in.
Holding's best games were with the Socrates last season.
You can't have Socrates in the team. I'm sorry.
I agree. And compared to what he was last season, he's even worse this season. So I agree with Holding. The problem is, I agree with Max there. I don't understand this erection, to quote his words, with Holding at the minute. I don't get that. But you also got to ask. He's only had I think he's only had 1 game since he come back from injury, and he played bad.
So he needs to be fed back in.
Yeah, what about the rest of them? The rest of them are playing bad week in, week out. Who's taking them out?
We've got so many crap central defenders. Why would you want to play 3 when you can try and get away with playing 2? The less we got in there, the better, because they're all shit.
With your formation, I'd put that 1. I'd start at the back and put 1, 3, 4 up front. You know, just have 1 defender.
I'll tell you the change that I want to see, which I don't think will happen, and that's Aubameyang or Lacazette.
Oh, definitely.
One or the other. That's 100%. What I want to see. I'm sick of this. Like, have we not done this to death now? Right, where everyone said play them up front together. They can't play together. They've never played well together. Just because they're mates and they like do
They have
some
a nice handshake,
Ashley,
goal celebration.
yeah, they do some Ashley
Like
Cole,
that.
Jermaine Pennant 3-way double-ended thing together, right? It does not mean that they are fantastic footballers together,
No.
right? One or the other. You
Well,
either play
Lacazette
Lacazette and you put wingers outside him and you say to Lacazette, drop off, hold up the ball and release, or you put Aubameyang in there and you put actual wingers outside him and you feed him inside the fucking box where he belongs.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I hope that we end up seeing. And Lacazette was garbage. He was almost the worst player on the pitch against Norwich, when the week before he was the man of the match, fighting and digging people out. So,
He can't
man,
play
I reckon you'll either see the same lineup, the same lineup, give or take.
Please no.
I reckon you may even see the same centre backs, because I think that Freddie's looked at it and he said, I want my two best passing centre backs now. I think you'll see Louise and I think you'll see Mustafi together again. I think you'll see Kieran Tierney in the team. I've got a funny feeling that that's going to be his midfield. That's going to be what he goes with. He's a huge Joe Willock fan.
Well, he's brought
Might be
him up for the under-23s.
Yeah, might be much of the same. But if you take the first 20 minutes of the game and you give them a little bit more time together, and there's a Mustafi header that's cleared off the line, there's a Callum Chambers header, there's Lacazette's fluffed opportunity. You know, you tighten those things up, and all of a sudden that Norwich game is, 3-1, 4-2.
There's a Mustafi falling over. There's a Mustafi turning and he's back on the defender.
There's a
Mustafi was
Xhaka
swiping
getting
like
run
he was on
past.
fucking Tinder, man. Swiping left, right, everywhere. He was just going crazy and he was missing. Come on.
It's such a bloody shame that he keeps doing these stupid fucking brain farts, because he is actually a really good passer of the ball, Mustafi.
He's a good footballer. He's a
He
good
can actually
footballer.
play.
Same as David
Yeah.
Luiz. Good
It just
footballer.
does
don't
my
think he's that
fucking
bad.
head in. Why does he have to do that? And because otherwise he's got all the attributes to be a good player. It just does my head in. Really does.
Fuck
Yeah.
Mustafi.
You're forgetting
thing,
one.
This is the thing. He's got all of the attributes to be a good footballer. He's actually very good at football per se. Same as David Luiz, but the small percentage of fuck ups are such catastrophic fuck ups
100%.
that it affects the whole team.
Absolutely.
And this kind of happens all over the pitch. This is the Arsenal way, and it has been for years, more than a decade, is to play very good football and look very good and be absolute shite at the same time at some of the basic fundamentals. So it's like 95% positive, and then the 5% that we do wrong, we fuck everything up.
Absolutely.
Sends
There's
the
too many
whole thing-
hero center backs. That's what it is. Too many heroes.
You know,
Too many
and
guys
it's
that
the
want to make
same-
the game-winning tackle.
And it's the
Things are
same for so
fucking
many
moving.
players. We've got your Xhakas, who does 90% of things quite well. He's 10% a complete shite. Your David Luiz,
You're very
absolutely
generous.
the same. Your Mustafi, exactly the same. You know, these players have catastrophic errors in them, and that's what's bringing us down.
Socrates is the worst of the lot.
Correct.
Is he?
Correct.
No.
Is
no.
he really though?
He's the
I don't know.
worst. He's
Really?
the worst with the ball at his feet,
He is.
man.
He makes
Oh,
more
yeah, but
mistakes
it's
than
false.
anyone else.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you he makes more mistakes than anyone else.
No.
With the ball at his feet.
I
He's
can't
still
take
the
that.
best. He's still the best pure defender that we have as far as a tackling asset. He's still the best pure defender.
No.
He is such a fucking liability with the ball.
85% of the time he is.
Mm.
But the rest of
not
the
the
time he makes the worst decisions, or he just goes off on a run because he gets bored. So he decides to just go off trotting off to try and find some fun.
Well,
Yeah, that's the problem
this is my main point. It's about partnerships and teamwork, and that's where Arsenal are so lacking as a defensive unit, as a back four, or even as a back two. So your central defender and their partnership with the fullback, your central defender and their partnership with the central midfielder in front of it. That's we lack cohesion so badly. It's a team of individuals. Up front, we have individual players. The partnership doesn't work. We don't play traditional wingers or inside forwards to make it cohesive. We barely have a connecting midfielder. It's everyone's playing for themselves. And I think that's the fundamental problem. All of the spacing, all of the positioning, the starting positioning, the chasing of the ball, the overloading going forward. It's the fundamental problem is in the team is a lack of partnerships and commitment to each other.
And it's just so much down to the fact that we have so many different formations and starting lineups every single week.
No, it's not just
Well,
that. It's not just
that. But it doesn't help, does it?
It doesn't help. But here's the one thing that you guys have forgotten: we do not have players that are actually clever, that can actually read the game. Right? Because it's all well and good being good footballers, but if you don't have it upstairs, you're useless. The last clever defender that we had was Mertesacker. Somebody who can actually read the game. Somebody who can put himself in the correct positions at the right time. He understood, listen, I'm limited in this area here, but I can read this. I know what's going to happen here. Look at the defenders that we have. None of them can read the game. All of them are liable to make stupid, brain-dead mistakes. So for me personally, you can have all the physical attributes that you want, but if you haven't got it upstairs, you are never going to be a top footballer.
100%.
And it is damning that, right, in that spine, defenders, that defensive midfield area, we do not have players who are smart. We do not have players who can think. We have players who just react, and who react badly.
100%. So this is exactly why we just need to keep the ball as far away from our fucking goal as possible. And we have to work to our strengths. And everyone knows our strengths is attack. So that's why it hasn't been noticed by, stupid. Well, I know
we have too many one-dimensional defenders. That's just what it comes down to.
We've got to just keep it. Just try and win games 3-2, 4-3. Like I said in our WhatsApp group the other day, that's the only way we've got any chance of getting points.
We need confidence. Yeah. We need confidence. Trust me, we need that one win.
Yeah, we're not going to gain confidence, and we're not all of a sudden going to become a mentally durable, emotionally smart, intelligent
That's gonna
team.
Take way too much time.
It's going to take fucking ages to build that, because, it's very easy to lose confidence. Like, confidence is something that takes a really, really, really long time to build, and that's why you see these teams who have been together for periods of time, and they genuinely believe in themselves. They genuinely believe, you know what, we can go out and we can get this done. We can be 2-0 down and we can get this done. There's no belief at this football club. Now, I'll tell you what one of the biggest issues is with this football club, and it comes back to the board again. Systematically, in the off-season, this board sold every single pure professional, every single leader
not this again.
out of the team. 100% right. And I said this to you last night. You didn't agree, but fuck you. I'm going to say it again.
Go for it.
You took Koscielny out of the team. Manny, shut up. I know what you're about to say about Koscielny.
No, fuck you. He was never a leader.
You took Koscielny out of the team.
No, you're not going to do that.
You are not going to do the team. You took Ramsey out of the team. You took Mkhitaryan out of the team. You took Petr Cech out of the team. All in one fell swoop.
He fucking retired. What the hell are you on about, bro?
Every single
what the fuck are you on about?
Every single piece of leadership that was going on behind the scenes, every single piece of when we went off.
What leadership?
Regardless of what bullshit, there was no fucking leadership, man.
What
These guys
leadership?
Are professionals. You think there's fucking leadership now? Do you think there's leadership in the club now, or do you think they removed all? Because now you got fucking Granit Xhaka. He's your leader.
What the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about, man? What the fuck are you talking about?
I wish you were there.
No. Hold on a second. Hold on. You are trying to tell me, right? And you want to put Koscielny in this leadership group. The Koscielny who his kids made cry. The Koscielny who came out and he wanted his teammates to lose. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. Go. Right? Listen to that. Petr Cech retired. That was his decision, right? Koscielny didn't want to be at the club anymore because he's got some false promise that he was going to get an extra extension or something like that. The club never made that promise to him. And even if they did, you should act as a professional, do your job, and then leave as a professional. But Koscielny left as a bitch. Right, the only player in that list that I can say, you know what, you're right about that, may be Monreal, because I wanted Monreal to stay. But Koscielny and Cech, use your fucking brain, man. Koscielny didn't want to be here anymore, right? We're Arsenal Football Club. We're not going to be held to ransom by some pussy. If you don't want to be here, if you don't want to represent Arsenal Football Club, get the fuck out. It's that simple. So fuck you and this leadership shit. We haven't had leadership at this club since the Highbury days. So what the fuck you're talking about, bro?
I wish
but
that
the
was a little
experience still
more
went away, regardless of if they're good leaders. You've lost experience and professionalism,
and they weren't replaced.
Yeah, exactly.
Koscielny didn't leave as a professional.
Look,
Koscielny didn't act as a professional.
We get where you're coming from, no problem. All right, certain players aren't that great in terms of their actions, but in terms of some of their role modeling and influence and mentoring on younger players who are shit in this team, they don't have that mentality, the minerals to keep going, to dig deep, and in one fell swoop, you've lost 7 players of that age demographic, of that cohort. So that's what Max is getting at. We're not saying Koscielny was a fantastic captain or leader, but what you're saying is from a board level or from a leadership level, you've gone, all right, fine, fuck off. Seven of our most experienced players who would influence the dressing room on and off the pitch have gone, and now you're relying on kids and fuckheads like Granit Xhaka to take on that leadership role single-handedly. So I think that's where Max is coming from. Absolutely understand your point, Manny, about the characters of those people that we're alluding to, and you, Brother Ryan. But in any case, a team is made up of experience, and we are certainly lacking that.
And whether they decided to leave the club or not, the club didn't actively replace them with mature age players who were able to come in and who were able to actually bring a group together or to have some. I said this the other day, like you're looking at Matteo Guendouzi, right? Now, Guendouzi started off this season with 2 Player of the Month awards from the ArseBros, and he's just received Shit Arse of the Month award from us last month. Who's he looking up to? Who's teaching him the right thing to do? Who's saying to him, no, you stay? Who's bollocking him in the change room? Granit fucking Xhaka? Because he's too busy pissing about on Twitter fucking crying because some prick told him his football was shit. We go and put Aubameyang as our captain. What? We'll go back and put Podolski as our captain because everyone really fucking liked him. I loved Podolski. I loved him. I wouldn't make him a fucking captain. Podolski. I wouldn't make him a captain. That's the whole preface of this thing. You can sit there and you can say the players were shit. You can sit there and say the players were done. But if you're putting together a concise idea in any management structure, when you're turning over a team and you're trying to bring in new people and you have an old set of stalwarts who are there, you turn them over slowly. You say, okay, we're going to drop 2 out this year. We're going to lose this element of maturity, but we need to make sure that these kids understand where we've come from. Now what do we got?
Max.
Now what do we got?
Can I take Max? I take that point, right? Can I take that point? And you mentioned players within that age demographic, right? Now, you can point to possibly David Luiz. Maybe they looked at Koscielny. Okay, you're gone. We're going to get somebody within that age bracket, David Luiz, in there. You can look at Socrates, maybe. You can look at Aubameyang, probably. And if you believe what happens at the club, Granit Xhaka is this all-seeing and all-knowing leader who leads by example off the pitch. Maybe that's what the club were talking about. But where they messed up is that they got players that do not know how to lead. They got players that make so many mistakes on that pitch that players like Guendouzi, like the Willocks, can't turn to them because you make more mistakes than I do. The problem that we have lots of problems, but there isn't a manager right now who can come into this team and actually grab that and bring it to the fore, because I don't even think they know what they're good at. So any manager that's going to come into this situation is going to struggle. This is a badly put together team. So be prepared for 4 or 5 years where we're going to be in the wilderness because we haven't got a team who know what they are good at. And to expect Freddie to bring it out of them is harsh. Yeah, it's going to take a long time, boys. It's going to take a while, man.
Yeah, ain't going to take. I think
the big difference is there's a difference between being a role model and being a leader. We have no leaders. Role models, yeah, sure. You could say Czech all day. You could say whoever the fuck you guys are saying. I don't even know. I wasn't paying attention. We don't have any leaders on the field, and that is something we've been lacking for forever. I don't give a fuck if Petr Cech is teaching Reese Nelson how to fish or fly a boat. I don't give a fuck. I want people who are going to lead this team on the field and get in their face and be like, you fucked up, man up. We don't have that. And I think this could be, maybe a hot topic for you, Manny. I don't know. But there's a big difference between, at least for me, there's a huge difference between being a role model and being a leader. And we don't have leaders. We haven't had leaders since the Highbury days. I couldn't agree more. Role models is a completely different thing. And that's where I agree with you, Max. I think we have had role models to kind of help out. And I do think we kind of need more because Xhaka ain't no fucking role model. He's what's the stat I read? He leads the league since he came into the league and most penalties conceded or fouls. I don't even know.
Errors leading toward
whatever. Guys are fucking nonsense. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? Come on. We need leaders. Romel's fine, cool, awesome. He's gonna take me out to the pitch and he's gonna teach me how to kick a ball. Great. But I need someone who's gonna get in my face and be like, you fucked up, man up, keep your head in the game. All this, the stuff that I think matters for us in getting our mentality back to where it used to be and to making us a more successful club in the future. Sure,
but think beyond the obvious. Think beyond the end of your nose. Think bigger picture. You got on-pitch leadership and off-pitch leadership. So you're absolutely right. We need more Tony Adams style on-pitch leadership, but you can't say that the off-pitch stuff doesn't make a difference.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think we're saying that, but I'll tell you this, man. If you really want this club to and these players to breed that mentality, you get rid of a lot of the players that are there right now, because a lot of them don't have that mentality. A lot of them aren't willing to put in the hard work and to grind and to go away to matches and to win 1-0 and win ugly. We don't have those players. So the only way you get Arsenal Football Club back to that space is you get rid of 6 or 7 players who have that weak mentality, and you replace it with players who don't mind going to the dirt and who don't mind winning games 1-0.
And shop in a different spot. Shop in a different spot. We've been shopping at this Waitrose higher echelon fair weather players
come back to us
for fucking ages. All right. And maybe we need to be thinking differently. Maybe we're needing to get defenders from the Championship, hardened players who have eaten shit for a fucking long time, and then sprinkle with a bit of stardust instead of going for small technical players all the time in the Arsenal way over the last 15, 20 years, and have that combination of brutality, strength, on-pitch leadership, and then some technicality sprinkled through it. And they were Wenger's successful days that were based on the core group of hardened professionals, Dad's Army, back five, players like your Ray Parlers, your Petits, your Vieiras. They were hard cunts. And then you had your sprinkling of stardust around it. We've gone all the other way. We've been shopping. You've got your pampered players, your London Colney, all that stuff. Let's go find those players that have eaten shit. Someone like, I'm not using him as a good example, but like some asshole like fucking Jamie Vardy who's eaten shit for his entire career and chases everything like a fucking rabid dog. That's the type of personality we need.
I'd have any of the Sheffield United squad, for example.
Yep.
They've all got the right attitude and they play as a team. You beat me to it, Toby. Exactly what I was going to be saying, because we've got to stop this snobbery about what type of player that we buy. And there's going to be so many of these players that fit the bill perfectly for what we're talking about, in the Championship, for example. And I'd be really happy with, a player from the Championship who has just got the right mentality. Obviously, they're going to be a good player, but all of the Championship players are probably good enough to get into our team at the moment. Let's not beat around the bush.
Andrew, there's a problem with that.
Mentality goes a long way.
Hold on, guys. There's a problem with that. The fans are not going to accept a Championship level player because the fans have got that level of, Waitrose snobbery that Toby that you're talking about. So if he's not a player from Spain, France, Germany, imagine us going for a player like Tyrone Mings. What do you think the reaction would have been like? Or Lewis even Dunk. When we were Lewis Dunk, or even when we were linked with Ryan Fraser. Did you see the damn reaction to that? Oh, why are we going for Ryan Fraser? We can
He's
go
linked
for
to
somebody so
Liverpool
much
now.
better. Exactly. We have this. The fan base has this mentality that this player's not good enough for us. But then a lot of them accept the Granit Xhakas. You know what I'm saying? So the fan base themselves aren't willing to accept a player that comes from lower leagues because they think that they're not good enough for us.
Yeah, they've got.
So
that
it's
Why
so
do you care what the fans
Exactly.
think?
It doesn't matter.
That's
Who
not
cares?
that's not the point.
That's what
That's not the
That's what
point.
you
The
just
club
said.
are doing it. The club are doing it. No. But the club are doing it, and the fans are accepting it.
I don't care
You know
what
what I
the
mean?
fans think.
So-
Most of but
it doesn't matter.
The fans are morons for the most part. They don't.
It doesn't matter. But I'm just making
That's
that
an
point.
IQ test.
The club are doing it. The club are doing it. They're not going for players that are hardened. A player from Millwall maybe, right? They're not doing it
And that
because
comes down
they're
to
snobs.
recruitment. We need better recruiters.
They're not doing it
Fan,
because
I'm
they're
talking to you,
snobs,
fan.
and the
Come back.
fans that won't
Come back,
accept
fan.
it because they're snobs too. That's just
Yeah.
real.
It
Not accept
is.
somebody
When you're in a
if he's
big
not
club,
from
too.
Spain.
It is that privilege attitude, you've had all the, we've had the Fabregases and everything, and even the ones before that with the Henrys and everything else. We've had them people that have, that have come from, say, Juventus, wasn't really doing well, but done really well here. So you expect that whatever comes in now is maybe they weren't doing well in one league, but you expect them to do well in Arsenal. So it's like that privilege attitude where we should be going out and buying 70, 80 to 100 million pound players when in reality, you don't need to do that. You can buy that 9 to 20 million player and he'll do a better job than that 100 million player because they haven't got that privilege attitude.
Mentality goes a long way.
Championship at the back, world class at the front. I think that's how you put together match-winning team. I mean, even if you look at those old Chelsea teams, guys like Gary Cahill and John Terry and guys like that. John Terry's a cunt, but but I mean, those were like hardened English defenders. And I think even if you look back at when Arsenal was at its top level, it had Sol Campbell out the back. I question about. Everyone's like, oh, Saliba next year. Saliba feels like a continuation of a narrative that has been around Arsenal forever. Like, no doubt he's going to come in. He's going to be a good young player. He'd be a good young player in a partnership.
We'll burn him out like Nduzi.
Yeah, well, he would be a good young player in a partnership with a stalwart English, like go and double foot someone, push up, yell at everyone. He'd be a great partner for not that he wasn't English, but a Per Mertesacker. I think we all agree was our last time we had a genuine, actual defender, a genuine, actual centre back leader.
Yeah,
but
and he made Koscielny look good.
You've got to remind the fans that we got Steve Bold and Lee Dixon from Stoke all those years ago.
Yeah,
we need players that complement each other, and I'm a big advocate for finding a defence that is absolutely working. Even if it's like the team from the Championship or another a lower European league or whatever. But if you go out and find and properly scout a team that's got the best defensive record over an extended period of time, just fucking buy the whole defence, because if we have to spend 70 million for Upamecano, for example, you could probably get 3 or 4 players out of the best Championship defence for the same price. And if they're used to playing together and they're well drilled, I don't give a monkeys where the players come from, as long as they've got the right attitude. And I was said last season about going back to the Lewis Dunk, I'd buy Lewis Dunk and Duffy if we fucking could, because they've been playing together for years. They know each other inside out, and they are a strong partnership. So we haven't got that continuity of defence. It's all right going out and buying one central defender and a right back. If they've never played together before, then you're starting from scratch anyway. So, a good example would be that if you went to like a top international team. I know this is all pie in the sky, but it's just an example. So you went to a top international team that's got an exceptional defensive record. Those the back four would technically maybe come from all different clubs. You could buy them. You've researched the background. Getting people that are used to playing together, that goes an awful long way. And that's what I was saying about having a settled defence at Arsenal now. Like when I said earlier about having Chambers and Holding as an example and just sticking with them, giving them, a good lengthy run of games, because they need to form that partnership and get that relationship going on the pitch. So you're not going to get that without that continuity, are you? Anyway.
Well, what about the old adage of having a premiership partnership, an FA Cup partnership? You're 1 and 2 and you're 3 and 4. And if your 2 starts to perform poorly, then your 3 comes into that. And you rotate through. That's what happens when you're picking players based on form. That's the thing that I think has blown Manny away this season the most, is where he looks at it and he says, why haven't these guys been dropped? Like, why was when you just take Callum Chambers in the first game of the season? How did Callum Chambers ever lose his spot? The first game of the season is still the best centre-back performance of the year from Callum Chambers. Now, if you were setting up that team in any other way, I tell you what, if he was a striker, Callum Chambers, and he had to come in and scored 2 goals against Newcastle, there's no way he comes out of the team the next week. But because he's a centre-back and he comes in and essentially does what the equivalent of what a striker scoring 2 goals does, but at the back, and he comes straight out of the team. And then David Luiz comes in, gives away what did he give away? 2 penalties or 3 penalties in 4 weeks? And that fucker doesn't get dropped out of the team. That's the thing that's at the core of the problem here. And the fact that we're not going and we're not entertaining going and looking at buying other types of players, it blows me away. The whole Lewis Dunk thing came up the other day. I forgot what podcast on. These are on Vision or blogs or one of them. And they were talking about the concept of Lewis Dunk, and they were saying, yeah, but he's not going to come cheap. He's going to come with his English tax. He might be 30 or 40 million pounds, but he's a pure defender. As in, that's what he does. He defends. He's not being brought in as a footballer who might defend if he feels like it. He's being brought in as a defender.
Apparently, they in their last match, was it Liverpool they just played? I can't remember.
Yeah. Liverpool.
He was. What people go on about David Luiz and being able to ping the 60-yard passes out of defence. Apparently, he was been playing in the space between the midfield and defence. Lewis Dunk stepping out into there and pinging these passes under Potter, the new manager. Apparently, he did that and set up a goal in the last match they played, and he's been doing it regularly this season. So he's actually got this range of passing as well, by all accounts. So you wouldn't expect that, would you? Because of the way they were playing under Chris Hughton. So you get a new manager in, he's learning these how to play differently. So it just shows you what different coaches can do with players as well.
We need to just change our whole recruitment. We're too privileged. Like my dad always said, it's not about the size of it; it's about the motion of the ocean. And I think that's how it goes a long way. And we should
go after the Norwich recruit, head scout. What's his name? Webster, is it? Or
they have a lot of young talent. Me and Manny were talking about the other day. Max Aarons looks good. Godfrey looks, I'm not saying, let's sign him up, but a lot of these, newly promoted teams, up and coming championship level teams, they have guys that can play in the top 4 or can,
and they're hungry.
Yeah, exactly. And they want to prove themselves. They came from, like Toby was saying, they came from shit and they're willing to put their nose to the grind. And then I think that's what you guys are talking about in the hot topic with top 4. We're privileged here. We have players that come through the academy. And you guys brought up Chambers, just guys that have been through shit and are willing to kind of they know what it's like and they want to make a name for themselves. Unlike these players that come out of the U23s. It's terrible because out of the last 4 or 5 guys that came out of the U23s that were the next big thing, Saka maybe. I'm still holding on to Saka, but none of them really. I don't say they didn't pan out. They're still young; they could still pan out, but none of them are doing what we think they should be doing, And we have a lot of guys now in the U23s like John Jules. I can't wait to see him play. I think he's a guy that tremendous talent, but. And I want to see Jack Bentley too. But
what worries me is that they need a really, really good coach to teach them.
Exactly.
And they need a leadership. They need a leadership group. They need a leadership group in the dressing room when they go in there as well.
Yeah.
They did try to buy leaders, but look who they bought. Lichtsteiner. David Luiz.
Lichtsteiner may have done a fantastic job back of house, and
Maybe
we
so.
don't know it. From all reports, he was amazing in the
Did a
That's the one.
fantastic
I'll
job.
give
Maybe
him
so.
that credit. That's it.
50
Maybe
pence
so,
fee
but
head.
we're not. Maybe so, but we're not privy to what goes on
taught
back
Willock how
there.
to fly a
We're privy
kite.
to what we see on
I
the
know.
pitch. We see on the and Lichtsteiner was a disaster, a complete disaster. David Luiz is a complete disaster.
I wouldn't say it was
So,
a complete disaster,
this-
but on the
Well,
pitch, yeah.
but
On the
Ryan-
pitch, yes. On the pitch, yes.
Ryan.
But when we got into
So
that
they
cup
have
with
to-
Tottenham, he was the first person. Yeah, he wasn't even playing. He was the first person to get in fucking the Spud's face and say,
Okay,
"Go fuck yourself."
good.
That's- yeah,
That's all well and good. That's cool. That's
we
good.
need
That's
that,
good.
though.
But
Whether you
that's
like
good.
it or not, we need that.
Listen, that's all well and good, right? But the experience that they have brought in through the door has been dog shit. You would want experience to go on that pitch and actually show you how
Baby
to
steps,
do
man.
it.
Baby steps. I
And
agree.
David Luiz and Lichtsteiner never took to that pitch and acted as if they were experienced players. They made mistakes that you would expect from a Guendouzi, from a Willock, from a Saka, from a Martinelli. So it's harder to learn from players like that when they're making more mistakes than the young ones. So it's all well and good wanting experience, but you want experience who are going to lead on that pitch by example and by, telling them what to do. And off the pitch too, with the ones that we're not privy to, because the leaders that are supposed to be leaders on the pitch make the most mistakes. And that's counterproductive in my opinion.
I agree with that. I agree with Manny there. I can't argue with that because look at the experience we've got in our defence at the minute, who's supposed to be experienced defenders, and look at the state of them.
We turned down Gary. We turned down Gary Cahill.
Because another
David
one is going to be
Luiz.
experienced.
David Luiz.
I'm glad we turned down Gary Cahill.
No, I didn't want
another
him at the
experienced
time.
player who's out of his prime. He's just going to be terrible for us.
But
He's going
maybe
to be
he would have
walking
been. Maybe he would have been a better option leadership wise. Maybe that was the thinking behind it.
Maybe not.
He would have been a Lichtsteiner.
He would have been a stupid.
Could he have been a worse defender than David Luiz?
Possibly.
Yes.
I mean, right now, if I go back to that Gary Cahill signing and I say you can have Gary Cahill or you can have David Luiz,
we could have had Gary Cahill before he come out of Bolton, but we didn't, did we?
Crystal Palace have gone fifth.
Yeah.
They've looked really solid at the back. So I wouldn't say that he'll be any worse than David Luiz. I'd say he would have been a lot better, to be fair, because he's a no-nonsense defender. And he would have been able to bring along the young defenders.
I know Burnley lost 4-1 last night, but it was against Man City. But what about Tarkowski?
He's good.
No
I
one
liked him
talks about him
a year
anymore.
or two ago. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. He's
It's
a
just so
solid defender.
It's so unfashionable, Scunny, and that's the issue. It's so
apparently,
unfashionable.
He got into the
15
England
million
squad.
buyout clause.
What was that, Andrew?
Apparently, he's got a 15 million buyout clause.
Well,
Fucking
we
buy
paid
him.
more than that for Socrates.
That's our problem too. Is when we recruit, our defense is so bad that when we recruit defenders, we want defenders that will start now for us. We don't want guys that will come into the team and fight for their spot. Because our defense is so bad, we need guys that start now. Yeah, I agree, we do, but we need to learn how to get these guys like Tarkowski, Dunk, even Duffy, and just buy them, make them work, make them prove themselves, and slowly integrate them to the team. We have the mentality of just, hey, our defense is so bad. We need to fix now. And but we don't have the money. So it's okay, well, you want to bring in a guy to the team into defense that'll solve our problems now. Well, you have to spend money. So it's one or the other, and we're choosing neither. So we're just stuck with a shitty defense or recruiting 18-year-olds who will be good, maybe, but we don't know.
Will be good maybe in the right partnerships, under the right leadership structures, under the right coaches. Which I would argue that we don't have any of those three things, so we're probably just going to fuck Saliba.
Something's got to give, but nothing's giving, so our defense will continue to be shit.
Just bear this in mind. He's got a buyout clause for 15 million pound. We paid more than double that for Mustafi.
Fuck Mustafi.
Let that sink in.
Come on,
just let that sink in.
Gentlemen, we're forgetting something else, and I'm looking at Toby's face, and I know that you're begging to come out with this one, the midfield.
Thanks, buddy. Exactly. Doesn't matter who you purchase. If you have no midfield protection, then you're going to be sliced through. The only way we can recruit from here on in, if we keep playing this way, is to have sprinters and one-on-one defenders. All right? If you're not offering that protection, and I keep coming back to spacing and partnerships, from your fullbacks, from your central midfielders, you are not going to have a good defense. And don't forget, everyone, we had an attacking, balls-out attacking team under Wenger for fucking 15 years with a high back line, and we got fucked every time. Every time we went up against the big boy, 4-0 after 20 minutes, 5-0 after one half. So we have to consider this balance. But if you're not being protected from the midfield, I don't care. It doesn't matter how good you are defensively. We're still going to get eaten alive, you know? So let's change our perspective in terms of that. Or if we are going to leave these defenders hanging, because don't forget, we've made every centre-back over the last 15 years look like a cunt. Do you remember Per Mertesacker falling over and breaking his ankle?
Yeah,
because he was so exposed in his first season. This is Arsenal. This is the way it's been for so long.
That's because he's got legs like a flamingo.
Yeah, well, it didn't help. It didn't help. But we have to look at sprint speed, physique, reading of the game, and then actually coaching our team in a defensive structure, not to overload so far going forward. So anyway, thank you, Manny, for reading my itchiness.
Do you know what?
You're welcome, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
You know what? We're so used to the midfield being that way that we just you just overlook it.
Yeah.
You make a good point there, actually. You really do.
Andrew, I've got a good question for you. Right? In light of everything that we've kind of spoken about today, and looking back at historically where Arsenal came from, like what Toby's been saying with being overrun and hit on the counter. Hit on the counter attack, right? Do you think that the selection of Emery was actually the right type of manager, and that Emery just didn't execute the way that we expected him to execute?
No, I don't think so. Not in a million years. I would so much rather have a manager that had the same kind of ethos as the way to play as Wenger did, but had more of an idea about obviously keeping the back doors shut as well.
Were you a fan who was towards the end of Wenger's era, really, really heavily frustrated with being a top four team, an almost Rans team, a team getting busted up on the counter attack, and like Toby said, looking beautiful going forward and getting hit at the back? Or, were you someone who was like, no, I'm quite happy with this? Because majority of Arsenal fans towards the end of that Wenger era were like, something's got to change. Yeah, shoot me in the head. Something's got to change. And that's why we went towards a manager that was supposedly going to be more tactically flexible, have more of an eye towards defense. It's almost just like the bias went the wrong way. I'm just really interested about where you were at the end of Wenger's era.
It's it was about 5 years ago. I think I started thinking we really need to move on from each other, but I always wanted because being the age I am, I started supporting Arsenal in 1980. I was 7 years old when I first saw my first match, which was the FA Cup final in 1980. And I've seen a lot of shit football in my time. And when we got Wenger and he started to implement his style, and I saw the football that I was witnessing on the pitch, I never thought in a million years that I'd see football played by Arsenal the way that I was seeing it. And to be fair, I never actually took it for granted either, because I knew it wouldn't last forever. So when we were looking for a replacement, far too late. It's absolutely the board, by appointing Emery, was basically doing the opposite of what we had previously. And that's completely the wrong thing to do. You can't change the style of a team that's had that style for over 20 years and revered the world over. And this is what you created, this fan base, this worldwide fan base. Remind yourself, this is why we're the size club that we are, because the football we were playing on the pitch. That made us the modern Arsenal. And that moved us in, gave us everything that we know now. And so to actually take that away with the appointment of Emery and completely try and change the style to the absolute opposite of what we've been used to was completely the wrong thing to do. Now, going back to then, I don't know exactly who would have been the right manager. That's not my, at the end of the day, it's not my job to do that. But they should have found someone that had the same ethos, but obviously was a bit more flexible tactically as well, so we're not so worried.
I'll tell you who the right manager was. It was Klopp when he was available after Wenger's first FA Cup.
Yeah, but that was 5 years ago, like I said.
Yeah, that was when we should have pushed the go button and we didn't. And...
Fucking love Klopp.
Well, we could have had Klopp. We could have had Pep as well. He was actively said that he would have happily come to us at the time, but there's no point. What's the point?
And now we're not a big club anymore. So that's a fantasy now of us shopping in that particular market. When those guys were available all at once, your Klopps, your Peps, all of that, and there were a couple more at that time as well. We couldn't dream of that level of manager now because we've fallen hard. And that comes back to that worldwide business, marketability, reputation, all of that type of thing. That's what's suffering at the moment. I don't really give a fuck about the plastic fans and, the millions and millions of supporters all over the world. But the end of the day, that's all money, that's all reputation, and that's why players come to our club and managers for that matter as well. So we've fallen hard. We're not shopping at that particular supermarket anymore.
Yeah, those big
We're
managers.
At Tesco's.
Those big managers, Toby, are like buying pornography off the shelf. Where you go in and there's DVDs and books and all the information's on it and it's in HD and it's on your big screen. And you know what we're doing? We're jerking off to Pornhub on our phone, hiding in the toilet.
In low definition.
Why not? It's free. Porno store.
It's free.
Nobody. Not even the guys who can afford.
I bought porno out of a porno store. Have you never bought porno out of a porno store?
Of course.
In a different era, Max.
When there wasn't
in a different era. You don't need to anymore.
No.
When there wasn't internet, Max, you probably did when you was a kid and thinking, oh, look, top shelf, I've got to grab some of that. There was no internet.
I got a private tab on my phone for a reason. Come on.
Exactly. No one buys porn from a store, man. How old are you?
Yeah. You're really dating yourself.
Listen, Burgess has put a question on saying Everton losing 4-2 and in the relegation zone, so Silva will almost certainly be sacked. Does this make our search for a new manager even more desperate?
No. If we're worried about what Everton and who they're going to hire, then we are a smaller club than I believed we are becoming.
I agree.
We cannot be looking. We cannot be looking to what Everton are doing as a benchmark to what we should be doing. We have our candidates, so they say. Then you do the necessary to get the candidates. Don't worry about any other club. All right. If you're looking at Everton, there's a problem.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
I think the problem is it just comes down to us too. I think that we have so many. I said this in our podcast. We have more problems than people think. We have many holes to fill or even dig up because I think we have problems that even us, we don't know about, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch. And I don't think us comparing ourselves to Everton will, help us, hurt us. It doesn't matter. We have our own problems. We need to figure out what we need to do. And I don't think we need to worry about what other teams are doing. I don't care if it's fucking Everton. I don't care if it's Norwich City. I don't give a fuck if it's Liverpool, Man City. Don't matter. There's a cancer at our club, and we need like a 48-hour surgery, which will translate to like 3 years. So I don't even know. Train into a big surgery because there's so many things wrong with this team and this club, whether it's the hierarchy, the players, the management. A lot of things have to change. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen in the season, and it's a shame that the fan base isn't patient and the fan base want to fight over as much as a mascot not getting a hug.
That was crazy, huh?
That was bullshit.
I don't know. I know, Andrew, you said you didn't see it because you've been ill, which I hope you're feeling better. But yeah, I kind of got I was a little peeved at the whole situation, to be honest. But it just shows our fan base.
Did you see Callum Chambers' reply to that?
Yeah. I was. Yeah. I wish I could have liked it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. So that it just shows how toxic this fan base really is.
Yeah, and look, in covering Fergus's question, again, does this make our look for a manager more desperate? No, we're not fishing out of the same pond. What Everton have and what we have. And even if you go back to the podcast we did with you, Andrew, when we were talking about top 4 squads, whether or not the squads were capable of top 4, comparatively to the teams that are currently sitting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, we all essentially rounded up the idea that, yes, the Arsenal squad overall was still good enough to get into the top 4. Everton's squad is nowhere near good enough to be getting into the top 4. So they're genuinely shopping. They're genuinely shopping for a Europa League manager, and we're probably shopping for. I would say we're probably shopping for the next big thing, who isn't a big thing yet. I think that's probably more likely where we're going to end up.
I hope they get Arteta, and then it'll just shut up everyone that wants Arteta in our club.
Please.
Oh, God.
Oh, you hope Everton get Arteta.
I hope Everton get Arteta.
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh,
I like
yeah.
that. Okay.
Please.
I just want Arteta out of our conversation. To be perfect,
I could not agree more, Andrew. Could not agree more.
Thank
I
you.
don't. The
I
other
don't think
thing
he'd be a bad manager. I just
well,
No.
I don't think
want him.
that. Just going back to what you just said as well, Ryan, about our club has a cancer and it's got so many problems and blah, blah. I must be. I don't know whether I'm alone, but I don't think that we have that many problems. That a really good coach that is going to get supported, and I'm not talking about hundreds of millions. A good coach that can get the best out of players and make players better than they are. And that doesn't have to be expensive players. And I think once we get about, I'm not being unrealistic when I say we probably need 6 to 8 new first team players. But that could be done over 2 to 3.
that's a lot. First team players for a big 6
That's a full.
That could be done.
75% turnaround on an 11. That's a huge turnaround.
That could be done in 3 windows, though. In
I
fact,
don't think that's a cancer though. 6 to 8 players in our starting 11.
yeah, I'm not talking about perhaps starting 11, maybe, but 6 to 8 players that will be in our first team squad.
See, that's where I think our recruitment is wrong, because I think we have a team of squad players, and what we haven't gone and purchased is starting 11 players. Yeah, that's where I think we fall down. I think that if we were going to go out into the market, I don't want to buy 7. I tell you what, right? I tell you what, right now, if someone offered me right now today £85 million for Aubameyang, I sell Aubameyang in a heartbeat. Right, and people can come at me and say,
I would drive him. 85 million.
Yeah.
I'll drive
85
him.
million. I'd sell him to Real,
America,
and
I
I'd
will
sit
drive
there and
him
I'd
there.
say, okay, with that money, I need to go and get, and whatever additional money we have, I need to go and get a defensive leader. Don't care who that is. We've spoken about it, whether that ends up being a Lewis Dump, but someone who is going to come in and immediately command a starting 11 place and immediately command the general position of our squad. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the best fucking central defensive midfielder that I can get, who's going to do exactly the job in exactly the system that the manager who we're going to bring in wants to play. Players purchased to suit the style of football that the coach who we're going to bring in is going to play.
The thing is, you don't need to go out and spend absolutely massive on every single position like
this is it.
Someone like City's done. I'm just going to go. Let's take Liverpool for example, because of the way they are at the minute. If you look at their back 4, they've spent massive. They spent huge on Virgil van Dijk. Robertson cost them 9 million from Hull. Matip, I think he was about.
He was on a free.
15, was he on a freebie or 15 million?
And he was garbage a couple of seasons ago as well. Yeah,
you got Joe Gomez. I think he come from their youth, and you got Alexander Arnold who come from their youth. They hadn't even spent that big on their back 4. The only thing,
but you know what they did, Scunny? They bought a general.
Yeah,
they
that's
bought
what I mean.
A general, and then they built around the general. Yeah,
that's the whole point I'm making.
That's my point. That's my point. You don't have to spend
very
big
few
on
players
every
that can do
position.
that, though. I don't think that, I think there's very few players that can come into the team. Like, I was actually kind of surprised Harry Maguire was the captain. I think he was captain for the Europa League match for Man U. I'm generally against bringing somebody in and immediately like, oh, okay, he's a leader, he's a captain, give it to him. I think I need to maybe that's part of the problem. I think people you bring into the team, I think they need a year or so to kind of integrate themselves. But then again, that could be part of the problem. They integrate ourselves to Arsenal culture, and our culture is fucking terrible. Our mentality is terrible. So maybe that.
Have you taken your suicide pill today, Ryan?
I know. That's why I'm
Like
glad we're not
fucking hell.
Ryan.
Have you?
I'm trying to get
earning
Mate,
money.
what is-
IPA, if you
What
really
is in
want
that?
to know.
What is in that beer? And can I see a noose behind you hanging in the fucking
Straight,
window?
straight gin, Max.
I'm literally
Straight
burning money. That's what we're doing at the
You're
club.
proper worst case scenario, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I
You know,
think
that's just
things
how
are
I
bad.
am.
Things are bad, Ryan. Things are bad, but we're not in the relegation zone.
No, we're not. I just
Despite
the way
our team being unbalanced, all of the contracts are pretty much wound up. So we're not in the same position that we were in prior, where contracts were running to an end and Bosman's. So if Lacazette and Aubameyang decide they want to go, guess what? We're going to get money for them. No, we're going to get money for them, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's round up. All the kids are on long-term contracts. Everything's essentially peachy. What Arsenal is right now is it is a club that is ready for the right person to come in and take us to the next level. I'm not really saying that I think that the club is fucked from the ground up. I'm saying that my fear is that I don't know whether our board is going to put the right people in place and then back them effectively to be able to get the best out of this bunch. I still said at the start of the season that on paper and on talent alone, this squad was the third best squad. We came out of the transfer window at the end of the season. And yes, it was a little bit of hand jobs and secret whispers, but, you know, Pepe, £70 million, we got ourselves a winger. Saliba, we got ourselves a centre-back. At that stage, we were still of the opinion that we had Torreira, who was going to be this answer at being the defensive midfield. I've made my sentiments clear. I'm not the hugest Torreira fan. But looking at it on paper, there's not that much wrong. The age demographic is low. We're very biased towards strikers up top. And we're a little bit of a basket case at the moment, but with reason, right? When you back someone and you bring someone in and they fail, and I've been in this position in my professional life where I've been scouted, hired, put into a position. I've been the wrong fit for the role. And despite the fact that my resume is absolutely stacked with success, I still came into the role and failed dismally. Absolutely dismally. Through no fault of my own, because the culture was wrong around me. I couldn't implement the change that I needed. The people who were above me wouldn't allow me to actually make the change that I needed to make. So if you then go put that concept into something else, you know, is the club in that much as dire as what you think it is? Or is the club currently just a speeding bus without a driver?
I just think we need Keanu Reeves to jump on it, get rid of the bomb.
Do I really sound that negative? I'm really not that negative. I just
you do today, yeah.
The only thing that I
you are.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna say then is the only thing that it's not. I think it's just an opinion. It's a personal preference. I don't, playing football since I was like 3 years old. I've always been under the impression like you bring somebody into the team, you bring someone new into the fold, they kind of almost like go through the growing pains. They have to kind of be I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. What's the thing? And you go to the fraternity, you get like hazed. Like you gotta do some hazing. You gotta kind of like assert yourself as a brother of the team, and to just come into the team and immediately be a captain and be a leader. I don't know. I never was big on that. And
I think you can buy leaders if you're.
Kieran Tierney.
Yeah,
Kieran Tierney was a leader.
I'm not that negative. I promise.
I agree with you, Andrew. I agree with you. Kieran Tierney, I think, is arguably the best signing of the year for us. We were saying on the podcast.
100%.
We were saying on the podcast last night, probably the best signing of the modern era has been Bernd Leno. Completely under the radar, world-class keeper, right age demographic. Really, other than a couple of flappy moments, hasn't set a foot wrong. So there has been some purchases that we've made. Even if you look at the thinking behind the Torreira purchase, that was a purchase at least towards the right direction. We went and bought someone who was young in a position that we required, who'd come off a successful period at a club and who then went into a successful period in a European championship. So look, there are critical things that need to happen at Arsenal. Absolutely critical things that need to happen at Arsenal over the next, I'd say, year, definitely over the next season. Critical things that have to happen at Arsenal over the next 5 weeks if we're going to bring in a manager. Where you will be right, Ryan, and where it will be a shit show is if we bring the wrong person in again, because we're not going to recover twice. We've maybe got one go at being able to recover this. And maybe the first manager was a ferryman. Maybe the first manager was someone who was just meant to take us from where we were with Wenger into a new land. But the guy who's got to show us now that this decision is the most important decision, I would say.
Oh my God, Max, shut the fuck up! God damn, you talk a lot, bro. Shut up! Jesus Christ! All right, can we wrap this up? For real, can we wrap this up?
The one thing I will say though, and I'm
Ryan, shut up. No. Wrap this up.
Ryan, John Wick's in the room.
Right,
let him loose on you.
Cancer is going to be. It's not going to be a cancer, as I said. I think if we bring in the right guy that could do the right things, I agree. I think we could definitely get rid of a lot of our problems. But the thing is, I just knowing this team, knowing this club, I just see like I don't even know who said it, but we're going to bring in another yes man that's going to do the job and upset some fans, make fans happy. We need somebody, and it's funny because Andrew DM'd me on Twitter and was talking about, bring up your favorite tweets, what you like. And the first thing that I thought of, which is like my summary as an Arsenal fan, is a lot of people when Emery got fired, not like, let's get this team rolling, let's do this thing. I saw a lot of tweets that said Ozil won. And as a person who used to be a big fan of Ozil, I was actually pretty pissed off. We're trying to make teams for the better, and we're trying to do the thing. And the first thing that people tweet at is Ozil won. I'm like, we need to unite this fan base. I'd like to be wishful and think that there's somebody that could bring us together. There's a manager that could do the job for us. I don't know who that's going to be. We'll see. But I think I'm more. I really think I'm less. I know you guys see I'm like so. Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate that. You think I'm so negative, but I'm really not. I'm more negative about this fan base because they really get me. They wind me up, and I know Manny. Surprisingly, the voice of reason tells me to stay off social media and not engage in certain people, which will remain.
Ryan, hold on. So you listen to me, right? Do you listen to me?
I'm listening, man.
Do you listen? Do you listen? No, I'm saying, do you listen to me? Put a fucking cork in it, man. Let's wrap this shit up. All right, let's wrap this shit up. Put a fucking cork in it, bro. Let's wrap this shit up, man.
All right, we've hijacked your podcast, Andrew.
Oh well, that was the whole point, wasn't it? Really, that was the whole point. We've had a good discussion. Listen, there's no way of knowing that we're going to get the right guy. We'll probably end up getting the wrong guy. But who's to say that Freddie isn't the right guy because he's only had one fucking game? So let's give him a chance. Because if we have to wait until summer to get the right person in, so be it. Let's just try and enjoy the rest of the season with a bit more attacking football. And if we end up having a few of those 5-5 games that we had against Liverpool, I'd be happy because that'd be a big step forward from Emery ball that we've had for the last 18 months. So let's just see what happens. But quickly then, before we go, because I know that obviously Manny needs to go clearly, but I do actually as well. So. Let's just have a quick round. Are we going to win tomorrow? You first, Gunny.
Yeah, 2-1.
I think so. That's what I would say as well. What about you, Max?
Yeah, 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Clean sheet.
Good. Tobes?
I think we'll win, but there's no way we'll keep a clean sheet.
No.
Zero chance.
No, I think so. I think that's right as well. What about you, Ryan? Just one word, please.
I think Ryan's headset's
gone.
Oh
shit! You guys talking to me? I see everyone looking.
Yeah.
I heard Scorpion. I know my sound's like really bad. I'm trying to figure this out right now. Prediction for the Brighton game tomorrow. That's a good question.
Will we win?
2-1 to the Arsenal.
What about you, Manny?
No, we're going to lose. Scrape it.
Yeah, no.
2-1.
Scrape it. 2-1.
Fair play. I think that's pretty much most of us think 2-1. Then that's good. Well, let's hope so. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Everyone as well. So hope to have you all on again. I've really enjoyed it, believe it or not, because I haven't had to do a lot of talking and I've got a really sore throat. So that suited me down to the ground.
Don't need to with us lot.
No, exactly. But thanks very much for coming on, guys. And if anyone watching or anyone listening to this after the event, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. That'd be really, really appreciated. And how can everyone get hold of you guys as well?
Instagram and Facebook, guys. We are at ArseBros Rant. And we're on all regular platforms: SoundCloud, Acast, iTunes, Spotify. If you really just want to hear four degenerates stand around and shout at each other, then tune into Arse Brothers, because what you've heard today is essentially what we do every single week.
I really recommend it. I really enjoy it. And Mike, Scunny Mike, you're a podcast whore. I think you're on a few different platforms.
I'm not as a whore as one person we know. But this is my third one this week, so I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Scunny,
if anyone wants to get hold of me, that's my Twitter handle. More than welcome to add me as a friend. And you may like some of the stuff I share, you may not like it.
For those that are listening on
I'll
the
for
podcast
controversy and having a debate.
For those listening on the podcast version, what's that handle? I haven't got my glasses on, Scunny.
It's at Mike Scunny with a capital M and a capital S on Twitter.
Fantastic. Right, well, thanks very much for listening, and I hope to speak to you all again very, very soon. Cheers for everyone for coming on. Take care, you all. Fingers crossed for tomorrow as well. Bye. Are you going to say bye?
I said bye. Fucking hell.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, Manny. Why aren't you waving?
Thank you, Andrew. Cheers.
Go
mate.
fuck yourself. Bye.